So part of billing for more than one provider is having providers meetings. So this is whether you are just, like I said, billing for more than one provider or you have a medical billing business. You should be speaking to providers before you actually start doing work for them. This is called a provider consultation. A lot of times we are just eager to get a client. So if a provider asks us to do the billing for them, we just say yes and we do it. I don't recommend that. And I don't recommend it because I've done that myself and it did not turn out well. When you do these provider consultations, you probably just think you just need to talk to the provider, especially if it's your first client or, you're eager and need to get a client. You're like, I just need to talk to this provider. But there are some things that you need to do before you start this consultation and actually during the consultation. The first thing to do is preparation. Now, preparation is key and it's something that I always stress because when you're prepared, you always do better, at least in my opinion. So, the first thing you need to do to be prepared is to be confident. If you have to practice in the mirror, if this is your first time doing a provider consultation and you just are afraid and don't know what's going to happen, I'm going to tell you some pointers, but my first thing is to make sure that you're confident. Whether or not this is your first time billing for a provider or maybe billing for a new specialty or in a new state, whatever it may be, you still need to show up confident because when you're confident, then the provider can see that confidence and they will be more likely to hire you if you are confident. If you're not confident and you're coming off meek and, oh, this is my first doctor and, oh, I didn't never bill for this specialty before, I'm not sure, that's not going to land you the client. You need to make sure you come off confident. So if you need to practice in the mirror, if you need to practice with one of your family members or friends, make sure you do that. The second thing you need to do during preparation is to make sure you have your services and prices down pat. As far as services are concerned, you need to make sure that you know what services that you plan to offer these providers. You don't want to wait for them to tell you what they want per se. You do want to hear what they want, but you want to know what it is that you want to do. Remember, when you're billing for more than one provider or you have your own medical billing business, this is your setup. This is what you want to do. So this is not like your full-time job if you're a medical biller or your 9 to 5 job where they tell you what it is that you need to do. When you work for someone, they have their services or they have their duties or tasks that they want you to do laid out and you have to do them if you accept the job. But in this position as a billing owner or you're, like I said, working for more than one provider that you're contracted with, then you can decide, I want to do eligibility and verification or I don't want to do eligibility and verification. You can decide whether you want to do credentialing or you don't want to do credentialing. This is going to be all up to you. So before you go into this provider meeting, you need to know the services that you plan to provide. You also need to know the prices of these services. You do not want the provider to tell you what they want to pay you. This is not a 9 to 5 job. This is not a full-time, part-time job. This is a billing business. So you need to know your prices beforehand. So when they ask you what your prices are, you can tell them. You don't want to, again, sound like you don't know what's going on and they ask you, well, how much is something like this going to cost? And you're going to be like, well, how much do you want to pay? So get your prices together so that you can let them know in advance. Speaking about prices, you really don't have to tell them an exact price when you are in the consultation. I know there are some billers or some billing business owners that will tell you that you need to, close the deal right there in the meeting. You need to do this and do that. Speaking for myself, I have never closed the deal in the meeting, but I have gotten the deal after the meeting because I don't want to rush into pricing services or pricing stuff for the provider and then that's not what it's supposed to be. So I don't ever give set prices, let me say, in the meeting, but I do give the provider a amount, a range, or what they can expect to pay for the services that they want me to provide. You should also have a scheduling system set up. So whether this scheduling system is online or it is a way that's manual, whichever way, it should be a way for the provider to set up a meeting with you. You don't want the provider to just call you out of the blue. You're not prepared. You don't know anything about them and they're calling you, asking you all of these questions. You want to be able to schedule a meeting with them. Now, it's more efficient to schedule it online through a scheduling app, or something like Calendly, or mine is through Wix, which is through my website. So there are different scheduling tools, I guess is what it's called, but you want to make sure that they can schedule it and not just call you on the phone, talk to you out of the blue where you're not really ready and set to speak to them about this. You want to have a scheduling tool available to them, so when they call you on the phone and tell you they want to speak to you, you can always send them your link to your scheduling app or your scheduling tool and have them schedule it so that you can then prepare yourself for that meeting. You want to have some pre-questions. So when they are scheduling that meeting, they can answer a few questions that will help you better before your meeting. So some of the questions will be, what is their specialty? How many doctors do they have? Why are they outsourcing? Some short-term and long-term goals, and is the decision maker going to be at the meeting? This is the questions that I ask the providers right when they are scheduling their consultation meeting. It gives me the opportunity to find out a little bit about them, what their specialty is, how many doctors they have, because remember, I only bill for certain specialties and for certain amounts of providers. So let's say, for instance, this is a hospital and they are trying to look for billing services. If they filled out this pre-questionnaire form, then I can always get back to them before the actual consultation, let them know that we don't need to do this consultation because I do not provide these services for hospitals. So it would save them time and save me time. Remember that you're also asking them for their name, their email address, their phone number, so that if you need to do this, you already have that information. You do not want them to schedule a meeting. You set aside time, they set aside time, and then you don't even bill for that particular specialty, or you don't bill for that particular facility, or whatever they put in there as their long-term or short-term goals, you do not handle. It's a way of kind of just filtering out who you can see yourself working with from the beginning and who you can't see yourself working with. So all of these things will help you prepare before you actually get into the provider's meeting. So now let's discuss the actual meeting. So when you have your provider meeting, you need to figure out, is this meeting going to be in person or is it going to be online? Now, all of my meetings, whether the provider is local to me or not, are online. It's just more efficient for me. It saves time. It's quicker. I can record it, which is another part of it. And it, for me, is better. If a provider wants me to meet them in person, I would let them know, I usually don't meet in person, and try to see if I can get them to do it online. If I just completely can't get them to do it online, then I would actually meet them in person, but I try to limit that as much as I possibly can. Make sure that you remember, during this consultation meeting, you both are doing an interview. This is not an interview that's one-sided. The provider is not interviewing you to see if you are a good biller. You are also interviewing the provider to see if they are a good fit for you and your services. So you want to make sure that you ask questions, they ask questions, and that you're both kind of interviewing each other. It should not just be a way to meet and greet and say hi and look at the pretty faces. You want to make sure that you ask the right questions, that you both are interviewing each other in this provider's meeting. You really want to make sure that you are listening to the provider, and that is why I stated that I record the meetings. When you're talking in a meeting, when you're talking to providers, there's a lot being said, and sometimes you can miss stuff. I take notes while I'm in the meeting because I might want to follow up on a question that they answered before or something to just keep me on track. But I make sure that I'm really listening to what the provider needs. From what I have experienced with billing for different providers, each and every provider has different needs. Yes, billers have the same duties. We send out claims, we post payments, some of us do eligibility and verification, pre-authorizations, all the things. So yes, the duties are similar, but each provider has different needs, and you need to make sure that you're listening to what the provider needs are. And you want to listen to make sure that you can then respond with how you can help and assist them, because that will get them listening to you and wanting to go with your services, because now they're hearing that you heard them and you can fix whatever problem it is that they have. I always go back through the recording that I have, and I didn't mention what I use. I use Zoom. So I always use Zoom when I'm doing my remote consultation with providers, and I go back through that recording just to make sure that I heard everything, that, I didn't miss anything. So when I give them the proposal for the price, I make sure I include all the things that they said that they need. So recording it helps, like I said, and making sure that you listen, 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 because you don't want to miss out on anything that they need help with, and they want to make sure that you are listening to them so that you can then fix the problem that they're having. This is your opportunity to build that trust, know, and like factor. Now, remember, you may not know this provider from Adam. This is the first time you're seeing them. This is the first time they're seeing you. But if it is video that they're seeing you in, or even if it's an audio and they're just hearing your voice, people can judge how they feel about you through seeing you and through hearing your voice. So this is your opportunity to make sure that you're up, you're pleasant, you give them that person, that real biller, so that they can then judge whether or not they want to start to work with you. This is the time that they will start to build some type of trust with you, even if it's the first time that they have met you. Trusting your biller is what the provider wants. They want to know that they can trust this person that they are handing over their life to. Most of the time, these providers or these doctors are just only doctors or providers. And so they get all of their revenue, all of their money, how to support their family through their practices. And if I was a provider and I was handing over my money to a biller, I would need to make sure that I like this person, that, of course now I'm knowing this person because I'm getting to talk to them, and most importantly, that I trust them. Do not rush your decision. You don't want to rush this decision for yourself or the provider. For me, this is like a puzzle piece. I want to make sure that we are good fits for each other. I may like the provider may like me, but we're not a good fit because I don't provide the services that they want, or they may want certain things done a certain way or a certain time, and that's not a part of my policy, or that's not what I do. So we're just not a good fit. There's no harm done. There's no malice or anything. We're just not a good fit. Every provider is not going to be a good fit for you. So remember, do not rush your decision to decide whether or not you're going to work with a provider because you are so eager and you really just want this first provider or the second provider. Do not rush your decision. Now make sure you watch this video next to find out the questions that you should be asking the providers in this provider consultation. Happy holidays, and I will see you in my next video.